In the twilight of Mozo town, a small village on the cusp of the vast savanna lands, the eerie silence is abruptly shattered by the cries of its fleeing denizens and the sporadic bursts of gunfire. Here, where flowers used to bloom alongside the laughter of children, now lies the harsh reality of a relentless conflict driven by the Lord's resistance army. Away from the polished desks and luxurious chambers of international policymakers, the true cost of war, etched in the tear-streaked faces of mothers and the stolen childhoods of Mukasa and his friends, is agonizingly palpable. The cries that rise from the blood-soaked earth of Mozo town are not just outcries of despair, but a global call to action. They plead for an end to violence and for the embrace of love and care that might stitch their torn lives back together. The Lord's Resistance Army, founded by Joseph Kony in the late 1980s, initially purported to fight against the perceived marginalization of the Acholi people in northern Uganda. However, the group rapidly devolved into one of the most brutal insurgencies in African history, known for its atrocities including child abductions, enslavement, and mass murders. The LRA's modus operandi is not only about territorial gains, but the perpetuation of fear through heart-wrenching violence. Despite military interventions and international warrants for the arrest of its leaders, the LRA continues to operate, albeit weakened, across borders in Central Africa. These engagements have often only disrupted the LRA temporarily, as they reorganize and resurface, sometimes merging with or receiving support from other militia groups. The ideological grounding of the LRA, deeply entwined with Kony's delusions of religious warfare, remains a complex facet. Scholars argue that understanding this warped ideology is key to demystifying and dismantling the LRA's influence in the region. The most devastating impacts of the LRA's insurgency have been on the most vulnerable populations, notably women and young people. Women, often abducted, face unspeakable horrors including sexual violence, forced marriage, and slave labor. Young people, ripped from their families, are coerced into becoming child soldiers, carriers of the very violence that orphaned them. These experiences mark not just the bodies, but also the souls of these individuals, leaving deep psychological scars. Organizations on the ground report high rates of trauma-related disorders among survivors, necessitating urgent psychological interventions alongside basic humanitarian aid. Education systems are also severely disrupted. Children like Mukasa, who dream of becoming a teacher, find their schools turned into battlegrounds, their ambitions into fleeting shadows amidst warfare. The ramifications of the LRA conflict extend far beyond the immediate brutality. Regionally, the instability fosters economic stagnation and disrupts traditional governance structures, creating power vacuums that can lead to further cycles of violence. On a broader scale, the conflict undermines national and regional stability, affecting diplomatic relations and development agendas. In countries grappling with the LRA's presence, political leaders are often caught between advocating for strong military responses and addressing the root causes of the conflict, such as poverty and ethnic marginalization. This duality not only strains resources, but also tests the resilience of democratic institutions. Critically, the prolonged strife contributes to a culture of mistrust and fear, impeding reconciliation efforts and the rebuilding of communal bonds that are essential for long-term peace. At the very heart of the LRA conflict are the stories of individuals whose lives have been irrevocably altered. Take, for example, Amina, a young woman who was abducted at the age of 14 and forced into marriage with a rebel commander. Despite enduring unimaginable hardships, Amina escaped and now works as a counselor, helping other survivors find their way back to a semblance of normalcy. Her story, among countless others, highlights the incredible human capacity for resilience and recovery. These personal narratives are crucial. They do more than recount tales of sorrow. They also inspire and fuel the drive for peace and reconciliation within affected communities. It is through listening to these voices that we understand the profound personal and communal impact of the conflict, an understanding that is essential for any meaningful humanitarian effort or policy response. Grassroots movements have shown remarkable efficacy in mitigating conflicts and fostering peace. In regions tormented by the LRA, community leaders, many of whom are women and young adults, have initiated peace talks and rehabilitation programs. These local efforts are crucial as they are rooted in the specific cultural and social fabric of the affected communities. These movements leverage traditional conflict resolution mechanisms and modern peace-building strategies, creating a hybrid model that is both innovative and culturally respectful. The success of these initiatives often hinges on their ability to engage and empower local populations, turning victims into advocates and agents of change. Furthermore, these grassroots movements serve as critical conduits for international aid, ensuring that the assistance provided aligns with the actual needs of the communities. International actors, including governments, NGOs, and intergovernmental organizations, play a pivotal role in addressing the crisis spawned by the LRA. Their involvement ranges from providing humanitarian aid and supporting peacekeeping missions to imposing sanctions on the LRA and its affiliates. However, the effectiveness of international aid has been a subject of debate. Critics argue that without a deep understanding of the local context and without strong partnerships with local entities, international interventions can sometimes lead to dependency rather than durable solutions. Therefore, the focus is increasingly shifting towards empowering local communities and building their capacities to deal with the conflict sustainably. Strategic, well-coordinated international support not only provides immediate relief, but also bolsters long-term peace-building efforts, setting the stage for recovery and development. To foster enduring peace and reconciliation, actionable steps must be implemented at the community level. One crucial approach is the establishment of peace education programs that aim to heal and rebuild social cohesion. Another significant step is the creation of economic opportunities that can reduce poverty and, by extension, the appeal of militant groups. These initiatives must be inclusive, engaging not just community leaders, but also youths, women, and other marginalized groups. Additionally, leveraging technology to enhance communication and education in remote areas can play a transformative role. Local governments and international partners should invest in these programs, ensuring they are well-resourced and tailored to meet the specific needs of the communities they aim to serve. The conflict involving the LRA is more than a regional issue. It is a stark reminder of the ongoing struggles against injustice and brutality in various parts of the world. It calls for a global response, not just in terms of policy and intervention, but in the everyday actions of individuals worldwide. Every effort counts, be it educating oneself and others about the crisis, supporting organizations working on the ground, or advocating for policy changes. Such actions contribute to a global culture of peace and can significantly influence the international response to conflicts. In conclusion, the narrative of Mozo Town and countless other communities afflicted by the LRA's terror is not destined to be one of perpetual despair. With concerted efforts and a commitment to understanding, supporting, and empowering the affected communities, a narrative of recovery, resilience, and ultimate peace is possible. Let us heed the call to action, spread love, and care deeply not only about the outcomes, but about every individual story woven into this complex tapestry of human experience.